Hey guys, so it looks like the lighting's kind of shit in here, but let's do it anyway. So, firstly, Artem, True Freedom Net, if you wanna hop on with me, I'm all ears. He said he was willing, but he was gonna charge me $200 an hour. Which, he was saying, well, what do I get out of it? And, well, I told him you have the opportunity to become a better teacher, Artem. Listen to a grievance of one of your former students, but he doesn't want to do that. He's well within his rights. I'm not gonna pay him, that's for sure. But I'm also well within my rights to challenge him. I put out some really encouraging words about him last night to the Awakened community, and this makes me doubt. So let me dive right into it. So last night I challenged Artem. I was a former student of his, and he gave me some advice that didn't match my intuition a few months ago, and I decided to follow my heart and stop listening to him, just do what I wanted to do. And I found that it was actually working better for me. All of that conversation that I had with him is in the Awaken TV video that I posted last night. He actually did a really good job of clearing up my doubts. In fact, I just thought that, it was just a error of communication, on my end. If I had expressed myself better, then maybe he would have understood me. I think that also reflects, that I'm not finished on the path yet. I mean, most of us aren't. So I think I'm still a bit hard on myself, and I think it was easier for me to say, well, oh, it was my fault. I didn't communicate properly. My mistake. Well, where is his responsibility in that to communicate properly as a teacher, Of course, he's not perfect. He's doing this for free. That's totally fine. But, that doesn't mean he's immune from criticism. That doesn't mean he could do better, or that doesn't mean he can't do better. So I challenged him and I shared with him, well, I followed my intuition, I did better. And he said, well, what was your intuition? And I told him what it was, and he basically said, like, well, that's great. Well, I never would have disagreed with you. So, it ended up being a lack of communication and a misunderstanding. So I was quite happy with that. You can watch the video. I was thrilled. Kind of resolved Artem of any wrongdoing in my eyes. And kind of confirmed his attainment. I'm not a Buddha. He says he is. I'm not, but I know what works. I've come some way on the journey, so I know that, you know, the fact that he confirmed that says, okay, he knows what he's talking about because it fits my direct experience. So that was good, but I didn't address all the points that I wanted to address. I guess I selfishly just was happy that, oh, well, look, my intuition was right. I was selfishly just kind of happy about that. So I just, a lot of love and thanks for Artem, and we parted friendly, on friendly terms, very friendly. That's all well and good, but today I was looking at our Awakened, and so, a second person has reported, True Freedom Net has reported Artem for abuse. And let's see, I'm going to quote Artem's words here. Let me find the quote. Oh, don't tell me I lost it. Okay, you guys have to give me 1 second. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so one thing he says, he got called out for abuse by the moderator, King 3X. He says, King 3X is not entirely wrong here, my friend. I'm excessively harsh on this forum, and I consistently forget that I don't know who I'm dealing with on the other side of the line. I was reminded once again by Illuminated Night that under all the spiritual bravado people exhibit, here is trauma. And even if they don't admit I'm hurting them all the same. He says, yes, it's true that they engaged me. Actually, he says, if it wasn't if I wasn't, they wouldn't have reported me for abuse. I never report anybody for abuse. It's not a matter of principle. I don't need to. So, people who are hurt, they're reporting him for abuse because they can't take what he's throwing at them, and he just keeps doing it. And he says, yes, it's true that they engaged me on their own volition, but so do most victims of abuse. So Artem is admitting some wrongdoing here, which is great. Um, He says in another comment, many people here with whom I had similar confrontations a year ago still have the same level of disrespect for me. I'm afraid I could be making it worse for a lot of people. I just don't know. I think I should tone it down significantly here, and I will try my best to. Okay? So he's admitting some wrongdoing. I think that's lovely, and I saw this. Well, that matched my intuition from what I was going to challenge him on the night before. It's just, I guess I got so caught up in my personal stuff that I kind of forgot to go after that, which is fine, you know. But this whole conversation brought it up, so I spoke to Artem. I sent him a comment back, and I told him, look, Artem, when and this happened more than once, but it was specifically in this one occasion when I was trying to tell him, look, meditation doesn't work for me. He took that to mean, well, you're fooling yourself. You're wrong. Um, he even implied that I was not on the spiritual path because I didn't want to meditate. Okay, that's what he implied to me 3 months ago. And me being weak and vulnerable and unsure of myself, I thought, well, fuck, this guy's probably right. And I went into like an existential crisis. Actually, I tried meditate. I tried doing nothing for 3 days. My girlfriend saw me. She's like, "What are you doing, Kevin? Like, this is not you. This is not productive. This is not the path." And that rang true to me. So luckily, I was able to turn it around, follow my heart, and do what I wanted to. And Artem asked me last night in the challenge. He said, "Well, what did you do that wasn't meditation?" I said, "Well, I just total intensity." And he agreed. He said, "Great, wonderful. That's perfect." Okay, but why, Artem? This is a question for Artem. When I tried to explain that to you 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, why did you just paint it as, no, you're wrong, you're dumb, you're stupid? Why is that always your go-to, Artem? Why don't you listen? I did try to tell you that 3 or 4 months ago. No, Artem, it's not that. It's something different. Okay, I just feel like the meditation path, okay, it causes me discomfort, great. But I find that there's another path, there's another method that works for me. I tried to express that to them, but he immediately shut that down. Okay, and remember, Artem is working with vulnerable people. I'm not talking about vulnerable in the good sense. Oh, we're vulnerable with our emotions and we're open. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about vulnerable people, people who are very lost and wounded. I suppose I'm one of them. Luckily, I've come some way down the path. I think that's why I'm able to challenge him. But I think he has a lot of students who just take whatever he says. You know. Now I get it. He's doing the best he can. Nobody's perfect. Just because he's enlightened, I don't know if it's enlightened in quotes, I really don't know. But just because he has a lot of clarity doesn't mean he can't make a mistake. Okay? And just because and he can make mistakes and he can learn from his mistakes also. So I think in my case it would have been much more effective if he had made the effort to listen instead of immediately assuming, well, this guy's full of himself. He's just not on the path. He doesn't want to meditate. He's just a big trickster. He could have been more open-minded. He could have said, well, if meditation doesn't work for you, then what does? I would have explained. Well, total intensity is pretty good for me. Radical honesty is pretty good for me. And he would have said, oh, great, wonderful. So if you want to meditate, meditate. If you don't. But I think total honesty is great. I think total intensity is great. That's what he could have said. But no, it seems like this idea of, no, you're just full of yourself and wrong, was more important to him. Okay? And again, that's fine. I'm not blaming him. It put me in a rut, but that's fine. If I doubt, part of that's on me. But if I go back retroactively and say, Artem, look, you're saying sometimes you get things wrong. You're saying sometimes you cause people harm. And I'm saying, look, in this particular instance, you didn't listen. And I think your guidance would have been better if you actually listened to me. He doesn't want to hear it. I don't know why he doesn't want to hear it. I believe that he has no emotional perspective. I don't think he has anything to gain emotionally from being the enlightened Buddha. I really don't think he gets off on that. I could be wrong, but I don't feel that he does. But I feel like he does have something to gain from this world view of being the teacher. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because he makes money off of being the teacher. I don't know if it's because he makes money off of making people feel guilty. I don't know. I really don't know what it is, but it seems strange to me that when someone brings a grievance to him, that he dismisses it. That's strange to me. I'm not even being rude about it. I'm not holding it against him. I'm not holding a grudge. I take full responsibility for it. And I said, Artem, let's talk. Let's just have a conversation. He just wants to charge me. Because what's in it for him? What did he say? No, this is the last thing. He mentions that we should trust ourselves. And what I'm trying to explain to him is that, Artem, you're dealing with wounded, vulnerable people. So yeah, you're telling them to trust themselves, but sometimes you're giving them just blanket advice coming from this idea you have that they're just full of themselves and tricky. You give them this blanket advice, and they have an option. Like I had an option. Okay, do I just take his blanket generalized advice, or do I take mine? Do I take what my heart says? And I'm lucky that I had enough support. I think I've come far enough down the path. I'm sure enough in myself that I doubted for a little bit, but I made my way out of that. I was able to follow my intuition. But how many of his students aren't able to do that? Maybe Artem doesn't listen to them. He gives them some generalized advice, and they end up doing the wrong thing because they're not confident enough in themselves to go against him. And he doesn't want people to go against him. It's weird. He'll be vulnerable sometimes. He was cool about the abusing. I mean, that was cool that he admits that he's being too hard on people on Awaken. But look, you're wrong about some other things too, Artem. But why don't you want to talk about that? It's weird. So I'm changing my opinion a bit of him. I think he's got some insight, but I really think you need to. I think you need to be careful with him. Okay. I could be wrong. I want everybody to form their own opinion. I'm certainly no expert, but gotta fly in here. I think you need to. I think you need to be somewhat careful with Artem. Okay, that's my sincere opinion. I welcome any comments. I welcome any dialogue, and of course, Artem, if you want to respond, if you want to do another recording, let's do it. You're always about, let's. He made a thread. Let's make this adversarial, and he challenged a lot of people to get on Skype with him and do it. But it's funny, as soon as I challenged him, he didn't want to. He actually said, no, it's not going to be worth it. But he gave me permission to record it. And, but today he's not even willing to talk, unless I pay him $200, which I'm not going to do, So anyway, thank you very much, Artem, for your help, man. But there's something that doesn't quite add up. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. All right, so take care, guys.